Hello, family. This is Dr. Felicia Vaughn, CEO of Wonderfully Well and poet author of Words of Wellness Poetry Series. Just wanted to come on here and just give you a little insight as to why I wrote Words of Wellness Poetry to bless the busy and burned out believer. That's going to be this book right here. And so, over 17 years ago, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. It was my daddy. He was calling to ask could he and my mommy move in with my family and I. And daddy had decided that he could no longer do it by himself. He was very much a caregiver to my mom, and he knew that he needed a lot more help. And so subsequently, they went on and they moved down with us. And at the time, I was caring for three kids, including my stepdaughter. And then I was also working on my PhD. I was working a remote job at the time. So I was working as a career consultant in a remote job. And so I was doing remote work before the pandemic. Home was headquarters for me. And so because of that, it just made sense for them to move down. But oh my goodness, I don't think I really knew what I was taking on. Because once daddy and mommy moved in, they started having more health problems. And daddy had suffered from diabetic retinopathy. And so, because of that, that meant that he was legally blind and could no longer be driving. And so, mommy already had problems with her reflexes because she had Parkinsonism. And so, I found myself doing field trips because I became a homeschool mom eventually, running on to runs to the grocery store, the pharmacy, doctor's office visits, while working remotely, while working on a PhD. And eventually, y'all, it caught up with me. And so I found myself juggling their needs, but then I dropped the ball. That was me. And then I suffered burnout. But oh my goodness, the lover of my soul would not leave me there. He just began downloading poetry as a means of healing. And it was just poem after poem after poem. And what eventually was happening is I was releasing my grief in order to find some relief. I began to do what Whitley Gilbert did. It would cause me to relax, relate to myself and to my God, and then to release my grief to find relief. And so I was a vendor recently at a symposium last weekend, and I told people that stopped by my table, I said, listen, you can go get an anxiety pill or you can purchase therapeutic poetry. Now, God just didn't stop with the poetry. He then wanted me to create a poetry journal that accompanied the poetry book. And I sensed it was because he was like, Felicia, what the gift I've given to you, I want to give to other children too. And I said, okay. So we took the time to create this poetry journal so that technically you could shine, so that your soul could shine. And so what it has is a picture of a flower, because we are all God's flowers, and a quote. And then there is a backstory on why I wrote each poem in the poetry book. And then there are poetry prompts so that you can sit at the feet of your Lord, so that you can sit at his feet and you can ask these questions to him as you are reflecting on what it is you're going through, on what it is you're feeling, so that you can eventually empty yourself out by writing your own poetry. And then there's a section where I ask, what did you learn? What did you discover from your poetry? So that you can actually see, what was that discovery? What was that was hiding within me? What was that was buried within me? And then it ends with a prayer. So you can find these soul care tools, because that's what they are. You can find these soul care tools on Amazon. And then there's also an audio book that accompanies the poetry book that you can find on Audible. So I want to encourage each one of you. If you are a caregiver and you are experiencing much grief because caregiving is hard work, then I hope that these soul care tools will help you find relief. So, with that, I hope I've used my words well, and I encourage you to write your words well in the poetry journal and read your words well in the poetry book so that you can be wonderfully well. Until next time, bye bye.